Performance exhaust is one of the most misunderstood parts of a car. For some people, it's just loud pipes. But the people who really know cars know when American Muscle sounds just right. It's not by accident. So what actually creates that sound? Turns out, it's not just pipes. Because somewhere between raw stainless steel and the sound waves coming out of a domestic build, there's a process that turns metal into the sound of American Muscle. And today, we're here with Senior Performance Specialist Sarah at AWE Tuning to see exactly how that happens. So Sarah, where does a great exhaust sound actually begin?
That actually starts, in my opinion, in R&D, which is behind me right here. They're designing the system, they're looking into what the OE looks like, how we can improve it, how we can bring something new to the market. And with all the tech that they've got going on with the ferro arm that Pete's using behind me, and then of course the physical prototyping, which happens out in the shop, that's really where we get to fine tune the sound and the performance of the system. We'll bring in a fully stock version, which in certain situations like the C6 is slightly hard to find. Yeah, slightly hard to find, but we did find some, bringing in fully stock. Fully scan with the ferro arm the underneath of it, and then from there they'll design the kind of the typical path they want to take with the pipes in CAD, and then they'll go into the actual R&D. So normally there'll be cars on the lifts here. This is our R&D area. Once the exhaust is designed in CAD, we head into what they call the quick and dirty, which is they kind of just weld up a system underneath. It might not look pretty, maybe it's got no slip fists in it, just to kind of get the typical tube path that they want to take.
Make sure it'll work.
Yes, and start the sound testing. And kind of like we talked about before, they're not going to stop until they are happy with it. So I've seen them make a full system, move the resonator back 2 inches, and then keep going. So
all over again.
A lot of people are not that intricate. Yeah, so that the Mark 8 GTI, the palette of failed prototypes was like this high. So yeah, they don't just do one and done, which is kind of nice, but the downside is sometimes it takes a little bit longer for stuff.
When you guys design it, are you like, you're starting obviously from scratch, but do you make the muffler specifically for that vehicle, or do you have mufflers that you use for different tones?
So there's not necessarily always even a muffler. Some situations will call for it, and some will only have our resonators. Some will have 180 technology, some will be a switch path. It's all designed specifically for that chassis and the engine in it. A lot of times people are like, oh, do you have universal mufflers? That's the reason why, because everything is tailored there. Maybe in the future though.
Okay.
Perhaps. We can take a look at the marketing area, which is my area. So this is not domestic, but this is another exhaust.
But it's still cool.
Yeah, it's still cool. And we got the wagon. Yeah. So this is kind of the end stages once we're done in R&D. All of the product photography, the videos, everything's done in-house here. Sometimes I do some test fitting too, just to, I'll be the first installer, and if I can't figure it out, we gotta update the instructions. Yes. So, all right. So if you notice, and the door might be blocking the moment of truth above the dyno, that's why that's there. A lot of people see our older name, the AWE Tuning, and they think that we tune cars. We do have a dyno. This is just for R&D. So the end stage of R&D is like the final testing confirmation. So they'll dyno a vehicle on here. Like I said, with intakes, it'll be a 3D printed prototype to make sure to try to be a little faster in the R&D process. Exhausts, the same thing. We want to show a slight performance gain if we can. If not, we'll go back, redesign it, see how we can get some better flow to make a bit more power. But yeah, this can be a dream killer as well. We're always just upfront with what we made. Sometimes they'll put a dyno sheet up of like 2 horsepower, and the internet's like, really, 2 horsepower? Like, that's what it made.
That's what it made. Yeah.
That's what you can count on. Yeah. So all of our materials are US sourced T3 or 4L stainless. Come through that door right there that hangs out on the racks for a bit before it's prepped, welded, etc. The chaos behind me is our prep area, so we'll kind of weave through there. As you can see, we're very much outgrowing our facility right before your eyes, which is a good problem to have.
We should mention we're shooting this at like 8:30 in the morning too.
Yeah,
this isn't like set up.
So once the material comes in here, it's cut down to size. We call them pick letters. So each cart here will have a pick letter on it with the proper bends through the crippa, and then it'll head to be deburred, slotted, expanded, all that cool stuff to prep it for weld. Pipe expansion happens here as well. Slotting happens right behind you. All right, so once the pick letters are finished in prep, they'll head over to here. This is kind of a staging area for weld. Everything is welded in a fixture. Some of the old school guys might call it a jig, we call it a fixture. That way we can have our perfect fitment guarantee. If everything is actually like bolted down in the fixture when it's welded, the metal can't walk or warp at all while they're welding it. That way we can ensure it still fits as good as when they designed it in the R&D process. Everything is touched by a human. We do have some cool machines, so I can show you guys Abby. Abby's a plasma cutter. And whenever we need a really super concise cut, like for a Y or maybe an opening for our 180 Tech resonators, Abby will do that. That way, again, it's really precise and we can count on the sound being the same every time, because that's another way we sound tune, is the internals of the resonator. We use a Helmholtz style resonator for our 180 Tech, so there's no packing material. It's the internal volume of the can and the strategic openings in the pipe that goes through it, and that's why we need something as precise as Abby. Our valve simulator plates, so if we do have a non-valve system on a valved car, we'll always include a simulator, that way there's no check engine light. So this is actually cut from just a solid block of aluminum, and we do all that in-house so that we can control that as well. It's a really cool piece, super over-engineered for just holding.
I was gonna say, right? That's a lot for that, but I like it.
Holding a valve motor, but it's pretty sweet. What he's doing right now is an extension harness, so whenever we do move a valve pickup, we always include the harnesses as well. We don't do a ton of wiring, but he is our wizard when it comes to wiring harnesses and valve sims. This is the perf machine. It's not running right now, but what it does is it'll start with a piece of pipe like this, and it'll sort of just like chug along and rotate it until you have a proper perforation like that. And this is what the inside of a resonator looks like for like a straight through bullet style resonator, which is a lot of in our systems. And how many perforations will be how much of the air is allowed into the outside material.
And that varies by resonator then?
Yep,
it's not
100%.
Just one cut? Okay.
Yep, we have a bunch of different versions that will run on the perf machine. So another cool thing that we do. And we have every single pick letter for the parts we make. Everything that's not discontinued is chilling on these shelves here.
Okay.
So some of them are massive, which like carry
I was gonna say, yeah, some of them I'm sure are pretty legit.
So these little guys will hold a pipe or a hanger in place. That way it's locked in there. And if you know anything about welding and metals, stainless is one of the most prone metals to sort of warp or walk, as they call it, while you're welding it. Once all of our pick letters head through the weld, they'll stop right here for QC. Obviously the welders, before they do the physical welding on the pick letter, will just check it out, make sure everything looks right, make sure it fits in the fixture. So that's the first kind of check. But then it'll actually go through a physical QC. There is some racking back here. The pieces that sit on these shelves is temporary. Sometimes they'll still be warm when they're pulled off the shelf and packed in a box.
Okay.
So our awesome pickers and packers will grab the parts, check them, look them over, wipe them down, get them on the cart. The full system will be on the cart before it heads to the box, so it's a nice little quick check.
Do you happen to know what these systems are? I see all the peanut cans. I was just curious if you knew what they were.
So this one, I believe, is a BMW, G8X BMW.
Okay.
This one is for a Supra. You're testing my knowledge. This is M2, because it's shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, so fun. And we actually have cards on here so I can check my work. Let's see. This is Gen 3 Raptor.
Okay.
And then I think this one is a Z06.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, I think this one's a Z06. Let's check my work. Yep, Corvette Z06. Then it'll head to our tip station where we pack the infamous lollipop.
Get a box.
Let's see if it's in there yet. Yep, our actual blow pop. And this is kind of what it's going to look like when your customer gets it. So all the hardware will be packed in here. We have valve simulator plates in this system as well. You'll get obviously this instructions, the blow pop, all the tips are packaged because that's what everyone sees.
Is there a story behind the blow pop? Because it's one of those things that people ask all the time, why do I get a blow pop when I buy an AW exhaust?
It started out as a joke for when they would, because we used to do installs way back in the day. They would give the installer like, hey, grab a blow pop, good job installing it. So it kind of ended up as this joke. And then when we made our packaging, we're like, oh, we should include a nice little treat for whoever installs it.
As long as I can remember. So
we can't ever get rid of it now. Blow pop must love us because we get them by the pallet. Yeah. So we kind of did a big U around the floor. The materials come in that door. They head all the way around the production floor through shipping, and then they get packed out here. This is another opportunity for our awesome packers to just take a look at the system, make sure everything looks good, and then it'll get packed into a box. I've heard people complain about how much packing material that we use.
I was going to ask about the packing material you guys use because it's very unique.
So we have the recycled stuff that we use. That's that kind of like shreddies, which I love using the shred machine. If I ever get fired, maybe they'll put me on the shred machine. But then we also do the crushed paper as well.
Okay.
And yes, there's going to be a ton of material when you open the box, but that's on purpose so it gets to you.
You can never put it back in. I don't know how these guys figure out how to box these things up.
They're
It's
wizards.
amazing.
If you see some of the larger pallets that are wrapped in the back, those are probably heading out to you guys,
Good.
to your warehouse. Yeah. So that's what those are. And then these small little bits and pieces are just end orders. If someone needs parts or whatever, they can grab that.
Right here we have the injection tablet heading off to turn 14. Then we have Reno right here and Arlington in the back right here.
Perfect.
So, what a fine coincidence. So thank you so much, Nicole. Nicole is the queen of shipping back here. Whenever I need something, she takes care of me.
We actually have for each one of your locations, we do have pallets, like those are their designated spots, is literally for your guys.
Yeah, locations on the floor for that's how much I love you guys.
And from here, these systems begin their journey to be distributed to enthusiasts. And the best way to get there is to hear exactly what all that hard work sounds like. Because when an American V8 sounds right, you don't just hear it, you feel it. Along with every bend, every weld, and every test made to get it there. And from here, that sound heads out to dealers across the country and into the hands of enthusiasts. So Sarah, we've seen how these systems are engineered, tested, and built, and then from here, it's right out into the domestic market. You know, what kind of impact is AWE looking to make on the American muscle crowd?
Totally. So we found out we can make a pretty darn good sounding system with the 6.2 and 5.3 Chevy trucks. So we've just been expanding ever since that, figuring out what markets we can do a good job on an exhaust system. Blackwing's definitely going to be one of them. So wherever it makes sense for us to jump in and make a sick soundtrack, we're down to do it and have you guys distribute it for us.
So big thanks to Sarah and the AWE team for opening up the facility today and showing us how all these exhaust systems come together.
We were so stoked to have you guys out. I'm glad you got to see behind the scenes how it's made, and hopefully we can do a ton of work together.
And if you learn more about AWE products, or better yet, get them on your shelves, reach out to your Turn 14 distribution representative or check out turn14.com.